Alfredo Ortiz on the line with us, President and CEO of Job Creators Network. That's jobcreatorsnetwork.com. I love Job Creators Network. They're some of the good guys out there and fighters as well. They really stick to their guns. Alfredo, it's great to have you on the broadcast. The president made a central theme of his State of the Union, the fight against socialism. I think this is just killer ground for him to stand on heading into an election season. Talk to us about the sort of rising popularity of socialism on the left, and how vulnerable you think this makes Democrats heading into the next election cycle.
Yeah, Alex, good morning. Thank you again for having me on the show. And absolutely, I mean, this whole idea of socialism versus capitalism, this has to be something we've got to keep on working and keep developing and clearly defined. I mean, we've seen the latest polls, for example, on millennials, where they really now prefer socialism to capitalism, but that's because they don't understand what socialism actually is.
Correct.
And what we need to make sure is that we need to make sure this country, and especially our youth voters, understand clearly what they're talking about. I mean, at the end of the day, Alex, and I think we all know this, socialism takes and capitalism creates. That's the bottom line. 4 easy words, but that defines what socialism is. And, this whole Ocasio-Cortez and her, New Green Deal and all these different elements, I mean, it just adds up to just an attack to our way of life, right? What our founders believed in, that through hard work, you can achieve anything you want, be anything. You'll have the liberty to decide what you want to do and not do, not the government, right? It was never intended for the government to decide how to rule your life, how to run your life. And I think it's just really amazing that it's gotten this far, but that's why we need to stop, and that's why we're out there, trying to talk about it.
So this is exactly where I've got a lot of energy for these types of topics, because I think the stakes have been raised with the popularity of Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez and others. It makes the stakes very high, but I also feel like these are some of the left's worst arguments, that we should have more statism, more collectivism, less focus on wealth creation, more focus on wealth distribution, more focus on a growing government. These are all places that seem like slam dunk issues for the right, and thank God, and I mean this, Alfredo, thank God, the right, our speech has not been shut down yet. So we still have talk radio, we still have the internet. So I think we can get our message out there, and we can beat them on this playing field in a massive way. And that's why we turn to experts like you. But let's talk about the Green New Deal, because as we've been on the air, the Democrats have released their Green New Deal plan. This has been endorsed by at least 40 House members. It essentially makes us carbon neutral in 10 years. Which people don't know this, Alfredo, but only about 10% of our energy that we produce today are non-carbon based. So this is a radical, unprecedented. It's an impossible. I mean, it's almost not even a real concept. It's like a sci-fi concept. But only 10% of our energy is actually non-carbon based at the moment. So this would be 90% of our energy, I guess, being converted off of our transportation, our manufacturing, our electric power, converting all of that to some sort of green, sustainable eco thing. It's not realistic, but give us your thoughts on it and what this really means.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of many, right? If you look at that particular element, along with the Medicare for All, I mean, those are two huge ones that are expected to cost our economy something like, I think the latest number I've seen, something like $45 trillion, $50 trillion, right? I mean,
oh my
these
gosh,
numbers are just so unbelievably ridiculous. It's not even funny anymore, But when you look at that and what it really means, it's one of the most regressive, things that you can do to our middle income families. I mean, if you think about what that would impact, and small business owners, for example, I mean, people don't realize that in this country, I mean, first of all, we are finally in this country something to be very proud of in terms of energy. We're net exporters of energy. That's an amazing turnaround story. And we need to be celebrating that and realize that
right.
is what's also helping this economy prosper the way it is. I mean, as you know, I mean, government, the administration under Trump has just done an amazing job in addressing things like, excessive red tape. It was tremendously high, as you know, really to keep small business behind. Taxes were extremely high. Thank goodness for the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, which we fought for. That really has made a tremendous change, especially for our small business owners, that 20% deduction that they got. And by the way, we're actually asking for this year, we'd like this to be bipartisan in nature. We want more for our small business owners, right? We are going to be pushing for a 23%. I think they need it. I think they deserve it when 2/3 of new job growth is in the hands of our small business owners, Alex. We need to do more for them, right?
Right.
But so these ideas of like the Green New Deal, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It just so tees up when I describe the Democrats. I kind of like calling it the 3Ds for the Democrats. They're dangerous, duplicitous, and disingenuous, right? They're dangerous to our way of life, to what our founding fathers believed this country was supposed to be about, right? They're duplicitous because they say one thing and they do something completely different. Take the whole government shutdown. They were also worried about the small business owners and how the small business owners were being hurt. At the same time they were saying that, yet Bernie Sanders and the rest of the team there on the Democrat side introducing $15 per hour minimum wages, right, which are bound to and surely will hurt small business owners. And then, quite frankly, disingenuous, right? Because, again, let's just focus on the Medicare for all, which we're actually calling Medicare for all at this point, right? Because it is something that's important. When you look at that, if they really started talking to the American public of what that means, that you're going to lose your private insurance, that you're going to get taxed because there's no way you can afford a $35 trillion bill and not get taxed for it, right? People wouldn't support it. They don't bother telling us this. So again, that's my 3Ds of the Democrats. They're dangerous, duplicitous, and disingenuous.
Alfredo Ortiz again is with me, President and CEO of Job Creators Network, jobcreatorsnetwork.com. You did an op-ed in The Hill where you said the president needed to shine a spotlight on his economic success. At Breitbart, we noted 6 things we wanted the president to do during the State of the Union. He covered 5 of the 6, so I think our record is pretty good. One of our 6 was absolutely what you just said. He needs to do a good job selling how great the economy is. Let's play a clip here. Here's 10E, Paul.
Over the last 2 years, my administration has moved with urgency and historic speed to confront problems neglected by leaders of both parties over many decades. In just over 2 years since the election, we have launched an unprecedented economic boom, a boom that has rarely been seen before. There's been nothing like it. We have created 5.3 million new jobs, and importantly added 600,000 new manufacturing jobs, something which almost everyone said was impossible to do. But the fact is, we are just getting started.
One of the top moments of the night, in my opinion, Alfredo, your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and frankly, we just got to keep on doing this. You know, we've got currently a campaign that we're running called taxcutswork.com, which does that exactly, right? It's touting the success of the tax cut, right? It wasn't enough, and I think, respectfully, I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why we lost in the midterm, why the Republicans lost in the midterm, is because they didn't do a good enough job of actually talking about the benefits of the tax cut, just about tax cut vote. That's not enough, right? You had to personalize, you had to talk about it. I mean, wages up 3.2%, and by the way, break it down a little bit in terms of like blue collar, white collar, or supervisory, non-supervisory. I mean, for the first time, non-supervisory wages are actually outpacing supervisory wages, which is a great story. 304,000 net jobs, 3%, GDP growth rate, which is what we're expected to have in 2018, lowest unemployment rate in history. I mean, and we're talking every single demographic group, Alex. I mean, Hispanics, blacks, Asians, and by the way, people are they're curious about, why Hispanics seem to be supportive of Donald Trump. They actually are amazingly supportive. Most recent Harris NPR poll that came out showed that the approval rating for amongst Hispanics of Donald Trump is now at 50%. That's 50. And that's because he's supporting the very dreams that many of these folks in the Hispanic community believe in, right? Which is if you work real hard, and you stick to what you need to be doing, right, the right way of the law kind of thing, and you work hard in this country, you can achieve anything you want. And I think, it's funny, you think about the whole border issue even, and you talk about immigration and stuff like that and people coming over. I kind of point this out as, they're coming from Nicaragua. Why? Because there's no Nicaraguan dream, right? There's no Mexican dream, right? There's no Venezuelan dream, right? There's only the American dream. And that's why they're coming over here, Alex. Right, because they believe in a system in a country that's not a socialist country, right, that really believes in the power of free enterprise to be able to do and build on your dreams and be anything that you want. I mean, they're certainly not building walls down in Venezuela to keep the Americans out, right?
That is, what a good point. Alfredo, our time is short. I would love to do a part 2 of this because I want to talk to you more about the minimum wage, which I think is horrible for the character of the country to jack it up the way that the Bernie Sanders of the world want to, and it backfires on workers. And the same deal with unchecked immigration. It sounds good, and then unless you're competing with those new immigrants for a job or for wage growth, then all of a sudden it's not as good. But I got to ask you, at the tax savings calculator that you have a Job Creators Network, this is cool stuff. This is showing people the power of the tax cuts and the deconstruction of the administrative state that Donald Trump has been working on for the last couple of years. And talk to us about this. How do we use it? What do we do?
Yeah, it's really easy. I mean, you go on the site, you put the information in, and pop. Out what comes out is the exact rate that you would have been paying before or after from the tax cut. So you'll actually see the difference, the positive difference that it's made. We've had, people call in, text me, and basically say, hey, my refund was $400 before, now it's $1,600. And we want people not to only just focus on the refund check by itself, because the way that really, because of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, the withholding tables, right, the taxes that you basically are handing over to the government as an interest-free loan, basically, right, throughout the year, that number actually went down. So the nice part is that throughout the year, right, throughout the 12 months, right, you actually had more money in your pocket all along the way, so that you weren't giving these interest-free loans to the government so they could do whatever they want with it, right? You were able to control and maintain more of that money in your own pocket, so you could decide what you want to do with your own money. And
I love that approach.
Right, and so that's what it basically does. It tries to highlight really the benefit of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act.
Alfredo, we got 1 minute. Tell us a little bit about what small business owners can do to partner with you and Job Creators Network. You guys are all about empowering small business owners, budding entrepreneurs. How do they get in touch with you and benefit from your expertise and resources?
Yeah, jobcreatorsnetwork.com is where they can go to register. And again, there are 30 million small business owners that employ 60 million hardworking Americans in this country, right? So we're all about advocating for the success of all of these 90 million hardworking Americans. And so again, jobcreatorsnetwork.com. Please go on, sign on. You'll get information from us, newsletters, just to try to keep you up to breath of what is actually going on, the real truth out there.
These are the ultimate happy warriors, guys. That's why I love Job Creators Network. Thanks, Alfredo Ortiz. Come back soon.
Thank you.